If you were walking down the street in the bustling city of Shanghai, China, on Datong Road, there's a nondescript 12-story white building that looks like any other office, but appearances can be deceiving. This building is the world headquarters of Unit 61398, the global epicenter of Chinese hacking operations. Inside, thousands of highly trained individuals are not working on ordinary office tasks. They're part of a state-sponsored hacking program run by the Ministry of State Security. Their mission is clear: steal secrets, disrupt infrastructure, and tilt the global balance of power in China's favor. This facility represents one of the largest and most sophisticated cyber operations ever known, with a reach that spans the globe and an ambition to dominate every critical aspect of international competition. Hey folks, welcome back to the Hot Zone with Chuck Holton. Today, we're diving into a topic that's been quietly making waves in Washington, but it's one that could impact every single one of us. I'm talking about China's massive cyber espionage campaign. This is some Hollywood movie plot stuff, and the stakes are high. Let's make it as simple as possible. For years, China's Ministry of State Security, think of it as their version of the CIA, has been running sophisticated hacking operations. These groups are nicknamed by Microsoft as Silk Typhoon, Volt Typhoon, and Salt Typhoon, and they've been poking around in places they shouldn't. And recently, Salt Typhoon pulled off a hack so bold, even seasoned U.S. officials are calling it breathtaking. So how did Salt Typhoon work? They used a sophisticated layered approach to infiltrate the backbone of America's communications networks. By exploiting outdated hardware and software, they gained access to systems that support everything from internet traffic to emergency services. Once inside, they leveraged the trust between these systems, little by little, to expand their reach, enabling them to monitor calls, intercept texts, and even track the geolocation of millions of Americans like you and me. What was their end game? Well, intelligence gathering, plain and simple. Salt Typhoon targeted key government and corporate networks, particularly in Washington, D.C. Their goal was to gain insights into U.S. policy on China, identify individuals under U.S. surveillance, and map out the decision-making processes within the government. But it doesn't stop there. China's hackers are also building vast databases of personal information, everything from your social media activity to your online shopping habits. By feeding this data into their AI systems, they're able to analyze trends, predict behaviors, and identify vulnerabilities that they can exploit. And it's not just the government that's at risk. These hacks could disrupt critical infrastructure like water systems, transportation, and energy grids. Imagine waking up one day to find the power out, your phone dead, and no way to get gas for your car or buy groceries. One good reason to always keep some cash on hand. That's the kind of chaos they could unleash in the event of a conflict. Now you might be thinking, okay, Chuck, this sounds scary, but what can I do about it? Well, here's the good news. There are some steps you can take to protect yourself. Let's go over a few of them right now. First, update your devices. Most hackers exploit outdated software, so keep your phone, computer, even your Wi-Fi router updated. Those software updates are there for a reason. They patch vulnerabilities that hackers love to exploit. Second, use strong passwords. Now, let's talk about passwords for a second. I get it. Passwords are a pain. I feel like I spend half my life logging into things. You got the two-factor authentication, the text messages, the apps generating codes, and then the actual password itself, which has to be 97 characters long and include Gaelic runes and maybe a haiku just for good measure. It's frustrating. But I remember getting locked out of my Facebook page for 3 weeks when I was staying at a hotel in the Darien. Some random Vietnamese dudes using the hotel's Wi-Fi got into my account, changed everything to Vietnamese, and then started messaging all my contacts asking for money. It was a nightmare. So even though it's frustrating, I advocate strong passwords and two-factor authentication because they are your first line of defense. Without them, you're basically leaving the front door of your digital life wide open for anyone to walk through. Third, be wary of phishing scams. If you get an email from somebody you don't recognize with an attachment, sometimes they'll say it's an invoice for something you don't remember buying, or text from somebody asking for personal information, think twice about clicking on that. Cyber criminals often disguise themselves as trustworthy sources to trick you. For more than 10 years, scammers have been stealing my photos and creating fake profiles on dating apps and social media to try to bilk money out of lonely women in what they call romance scams. Ladies, I'm happily married. I don't frequent any dating apps, okay? If you see a profile with my picture and or name on it, don't send them any money, especially if they give you some sob story about being a UN aid worker or Navy ninja working undercover in Syria, and that's why they can't send you an actual video. Now, finally, secure your home network. If this sounds too technical, don't worry. You don't have to do it alone. Reach out to somebody who knows, like your grandkid or a family member, friend. Even pay a professional to do it. Ask them to change the default password on your Wi-Fi router, set up strong encryption, and disable any remote access features you don't need. January is a good time to do that. It's a one-time setup that can save you many headaches down the road. Now, let's talk about the big picture. What should Donald Trump do as our next president? Here's a few ideas. Well, first, he could strengthen cyber defenses. The U.S. was ahead of the game in adopting high-tech internet, and that means that now our country needs to upgrade its digital infrastructure. A national rip and replace initiative could swap out old, vulnerable equipment for modern, secure systems. Our power infrastructure is nearly a century old at this point, and some of the ultra-high voltage transformers were only supposed to last like 30 years. So we should have replaced them a long time ago. It'll be costly, but the alternative, which leaves us exposed, could cost a lot more in the long run. Second, go on the offensive. Trump's administration should authorize cyber operations, or maybe even kinetic operations, to go all out to disrupt and deter Chinese hackers. The goal here isn't just retaliation, but maybe making sure China thinks twice before trying this again. Believe it or not, their systems are more fragile than ours are. Take down the power grid in a random Chinese city with several million people in it, and China might get the message. Third, let's collaborate with our allies. Cybersecurity is a global issue, and it's too jurisdictional. We need to be working closely with other countries to share intelligence and best practices, and that'll strengthen collective defenses against threats like Salt Typhoon. And fourth, hold China accountable. Whether through sanctions or diplomatic pressure or other means, the U.S. has to send a clear message that there are consequences for cyber aggression. Doing nothing is just going to make them bolder. Let's take a closer look at China's espionage game. It's not just about hacking government agencies. China's spying spans industrial, corporate, and military targets. They're stealing trade secrets, blueprints, and sensitive data from companies to give their own industries an unfair edge. With their expanding AI capabilities, they're collecting mountains of data, from our social media posts to our online shopping habits, and feeding it into their systems to identify trends and vulnerabilities they can exploit. Here's a real-life example. Recent reports have raised concerns about an uptick in potentially hostile drone sightings, including in New Jersey, just days before Donald Trump's inauguration. This comes as Chinese drone manufacturer DJI just made a controversial decision to disable its geofencing feature, which previously prevented drones from flying over sensitive areas like airports and wildfires and even the White House. Up till now, their drones wouldn't even take off in restricted areas. Now operators just receive a dismissible warning, which leaves restricted airspace vulnerable to attacks or misuse. The timing couldn't be worse, as drone sightings in restricted areas are already fueling fears of espionage and potential sabotage. With DJI labeled a Chinese military company by the U.S. government, there's heightened concern that these drones could be used for intelligence gathering or even targeted attacks on critical infrastructure. For example, during the recent Los Angeles wildfires, a DJI drone was spotted interfering with firefighting efforts and collided with a Super Scooper aircraft, taking it out of commission. Last week, a Russian Wagner Group mercenary was caught sneaking across the U.S. southern border with 2 passports, $4,000 in cash, and, you guessed it, a drone in his possession. This is a chilling reminder of how easily drones could disrupt essential services or gather sensitive data, posing a significant threat to national security. So here's the bottom line, folks. China's threat isn't just about cybersecurity, and it isn't just a government issue. It's a team effort that we should all be aware of. By taking a few simple steps on your part, you can make it a lot harder for hackers to target you and America. And as a nation, we need strong leadership and decisive action now to protect our digital future. So stay vigilant, stay informed, and stay secure. Thanks for tuning into the Hot Zone. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe to our channel for more updates. I'll also post an article about this over at chuckholton.com. So if you like this content, go over there and become a supporter. So until next time, God bless you and stay safe out there.